The U.S. Supreme Court is weighing a case that could impact abortion access across the country. Again, protesters gathered outside this morning as the conservative-leaning court heard arguments on whether or not to limit access to mifepristone, the so-called abortion pill. At the root of the case is whether the Food and Drug Administration adequately considered safety when it expanded access to the pill.
Let's get to the merits of this issue, the lawfulness of what the FDA did.
No, we think the states lack standing. They're asserting indirect injuries that would, if it provided a basis for standing, mean that states could always sue the federal government.
Let's bring in federal trial attorney Robin Nunn for some analysis. Robin, we know that a decision is still far into the future, but of course we start gathering more information about where the court is leaning towards. What stuck with you today about the hearing?
Yeah, I thought that the hearing was really compelling. I thought it was very complex, actually. This is obviously an important decision following the Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization decision. So I think a lot of eyes are in attention on this. There were a lot of good questions. There were a lot of good arguments. I thought both sides put forward a really compelling case here.
And how could this case have wider reaching impacts beyond reproductive health care? Because I know that's something that was addressed as well. This, at the end of the day, is a medication.
Yeah, I think that there are far and wide implications beyond just the reproductive rights aspect. Obviously, the FDA is involved in this, and the Biden administration has also weighed in terms of how they feel about this case. And I think that if this case were to proceed, one of the biggest issues is standing with respect to this case and whether or not the individuals who have brought this case, in fact, are the right litigants for this type of case.
Right.
They obviously have a motivation in terms of moral and political reasons, and there's obviously an anti-abortion aspect to this, but whether or not they have been injured or affected by this is a real question.
Yeah, that is a very clear part, and I wonder if that is going to weigh in on how the judges decide. I mean, when it came to Dobbs, it was all about sending it back to the states, but now this is a decision that, you know, would be a federal, would have federal consequences or implications. Do you have an idea of how the court would lean on this issue? And should we take the court leaning conservative as an indication of where it's headed?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, the Supreme Court is supposed to be objective. So the hope is that they will put their personal feelings to the side, which they said that they would do during their confirmation hearings. So hopefully this will be based purely on the law. Obviously, we have Roe v. Wade as president, and we now have Dobbs v. Jackson as president. So it'll be interesting to see how they weigh in on the various issues that are coming before them and how they justify their decision. This is obviously coming up from the Fifth Circuit Court, a court for being known for being fairly conservative. This is a case coming out of New Orleans, Louisiana, much like the Dobbs decision. So the decision by the Fifth Circuit is definitely set, and the question will become whether the Supreme Court will affect, you know, the availability of this drug nationwide. As we all know that more than half of all abortions in the United States are use this medication, right. Abortion as their means.
Far more than 60%. Robin Nunn, thank you so much.